Thank you for joining us on another Salesforce video. Again, we are on the Salesforce experience side of things here. You can see here I am on Grandma Betty Smith's contact record. She is a resident at apartment number 200 at our test community here in the system. So I have a couple other videos going over on the contact page, the apartment section as well as the assurance section. So if you need help on either of those sections, check out those videos or the written documentation on it. Today we're going to be going over the last section, the at-risk section. This one's pretty simple and self-explanatory, I think, but we will see. So the first thing you will see here is the case category. So a case should be entered anytime something is unsatisfactory for a resident at your community. You should add in a function when adding a case, culinary, for instance, housekeeping, whatever like that, to specify what type of case it is. So when you click on cases, you'll see here that all the past cases are here. Each case has a unique identifying number. If you hover over it, it'll let you know what the description is. If you click in, it'll open up in a new tab. So if you've spent any time in Salesforce or seen any of my other videos, anytime you see something that's a hyperlink like this that is underlined in blue, it allows you to click in to drill into said object. So you'll see all of the old cases here. It's by date, so it shows you the most recent up top and then the oldest stuff at the bottom. What I will show you how to do here is add a new case. If you want to get back to the old ones, you can click in, like I said. If you want to view all of them, you can click View All, and it'll open up all of them in a new tab. It'll show you if they've been resolved or not. Hopefully they're all resolved, but if you need to go back and resolve something, you can click in and edit said case by clicking on the little drop down next to the case and clicking Edit, and it'll allow you to resolve the status of an old case. But to add a new case, you'll click in Add New. It'll ask for the function, so anything from administrative all the way down to course care, pharmacies, things, sales, whatever the case is. So let's say administrative. The status is if it's been unresolved or resolved already. If it's something you're still working on, it would be unresolved. Once you're done, you would resolve it. If this is something that you resolved, in real time and you're coming in to add the case, you can set it to resolved right off the bat. The description will ask what happened, and then the resolution will ask if it's resolved, how you resolved it. You can see here if I did unresolved, there would be no resolved box yet because I haven't resolved it. But once you go back and edit it and change the status to resolved, it'll ask for the resolution. So you'll fill that out and hit save and finish, and it will save down here along with everything else. So hopefully you don't have too many cases to enter, but obviously things happen. One thing I do want to mention is anytime you add a new case in, it will lower the resident overall experience score, or the ROE score here. So things that lower the score I've mentioned in other videos are if you're missing meaningful connections and some things to look forward to, and not doing those on a timely manner. That will lower your score, as well as having cases associated to a resident. That will lower the score of a resident. So in the at-risk section, that was cases. The second section is the leave of absence, or LOA. Basically, an LOA should be entered anytime a resident goes on leave. So you can see all of their old stuff. So you see the same type theme here, where you'll see all of the past activities where you can view them all. You can go in and edit if somebody returns, for instance, or change the dates by clicking in or editing. To add a new one, though, you would just click Add New. It'll ask you the date that they're leaving the property. If you have a time, you can enter that too. And then the date that they return. If you know when this person is going to return, you can put in a return date. If you're not sure yet, you can leave that blank. It's not a required field. So you'll see in Salesforce, anytime something is a required field, kind of hard to see probably here, but it's got a little red asterisk. If you try to save without a required field, it's going to highlight those things in red. So it's going to say, hey, when did this person leave the property? Obviously, the date returned is not required because sometimes we're not going to know right off the bat. It's going to ask where they're going or where they are to. So if they're going on vacation, if they're going to AL, to a group home, something like that, you would just associate that in the location here. So let's say they're going to the hospital. And then the specific location, if the city, the actual hospital, whatever, you would add that here, and then again hit save and finish, and it will show up at the bottom with all of the other ones. The third thing you're going to see in the at-risk section is the flag tracker. So a flag tracker should be entered anytime a resident's at risk of moving out. This is a way to try and prevent a move out when possible. It will ask you what prompted the flag. Did they give notice? Did they pass away? Are they unhappy, etc.? A date of occurrence will be asked of you here as well as the status. So it'll ask you if it was saved, if they moved out, if you're still working on it, all of that stuff. So again, just like everything else in the at-risk section, you'll see all of the past stuff here. You have the ability to edit. So if you're still working on something, you can come back and change the status, or if someone unfortunately moved out afterwards, you can change the status on past ones, or you would just add a new one here if you need to by clicking Add New. It will say, hey, why was this prompted? Was this a move out notice? Did they just state a concern? Are they on respite, or is it something else? So depending on what you pick here, it'll prompt you to type in something here or just put in the reason here. So if they give a move out notice, why was there a move out notice? Did they pass away? Was it an engagement issue? Things of that nature. If they stated a concern, what was the concern? So on and so forth. So we'll select that. We'll say beyond scope. So depending on, the move out, it'll ask for specific reasons. So basically whatever you're putting in up here, that's what's going to associate the things down here as well. So if it's something other, you would put in that information down here. The date flag occurred, this is when you found out about this flag. So for instance, if someone told you last week that they were, putting in their notice, you would put in that date. If somebody told you that, they have a concern to state, you would put in the date they told you that type of stuff. And then the status is going to be, is this something that's in progress that you're working on? Were you able to save it? Were you able to save this resident and they're happy now, everything's good? Or is it a temporary save where, hey, they're okay now, but we're on thin ice here? And then the last thing is if they actually had to move out, and then you would put in the end date of their lease. Okay? And then you can put in details here. So like a note section, you would hit save and finish, and that would be completed. The last thing that we're going to see on the at-risk section is relatively easy. The health at risk, this is just asking if someone is at risk of passing away in the next 60 days. So basically, hey, are they at risk? If they're not, you would just leave this set to no, hospice to no, and then really no at-risk comments. You can put in, hey, they're healthy, everything's good. If they are at risk, though, you would just edit the at-risk section and set it to at risk. And if they are on hospice, you would put in yes. Otherwise, if they're just at risk for whatever other reason, you do no. But let's say this person's on hospice, you can say, in the comments when they were put on hospice, any information you have on that. But basically, the at-risk section, the health at-risk tab, you really only have to choose this if they are at risk, because otherwise they should be set to not at risk. So again, we've got videos going over everything. You can see the at-risk section. It'll show if they're at risk up here as well. So if you see that someone's not at risk or if this is incorrect, you would just come in here to update it. So we've gone over basically everything on the contact section between our different videos. Today's video, again, went over the at-risk section, everything from cases all the way to health at risk. If you have any questions, check out the written documentation, check out the videos, or send an email to appsupport@sig.com. Thank you all for watching.